What's up, everybody? It's your boy Chaz Pearson, and this is the Outlet Forum with my esteemed co-host Chris Camella. What up, Chris?
To quote Chaz Reinhold, your namesake from Wedding Crashers, I'm just living the dream.
We're all just living the dream, and you know what? Actually, some of us are living a little bit better than others. Thank you for everybody tapping in with us. This is the Outlet Forum, coming to you live on a Wednesday evening, the eve of trade deadline, which is tomorrow, NBA trade deadline. We got a packed show for you guys tonight. We'll get into all the trades. Jimmy Butler going to Golden State. Obviously, we'll still have some reactions to the Luka trade, the Spurs trading De'Aaron Fox and Levine going to Sacramento. We'll get into all that. We'll get into some of the backstory on some of these things as well. But we got a special guest on tonight's show. Uh, Kevin Klein of the Incline Dodgers podcast is coming on the show tonight. So he'll give us his reaction of all things LA sports. We'll get into a little bit of Rams and Dodgers, and we'll make some Super Bowl picks with the Super Bowl coming up. To just wild that we're getting all this news, Chris, on Super Bowl week. It's kind of like the Super Bowl is taking a back seat just a little bit in
Wait a
the
minute.
week.
Wait a minute.
I don't know.
Wait a minute. There's a guy on our team dressed like a pirate. There's a Super Bowl going on this week. Oh my gosh! I'm sorry. I thought it was NBA trade deadline week. By the way, for once, the NBA is starting to usurp the NFL after getting pummeled all year long, including on Christmas Day. The NBA is winning Super Week.
Super week, man. So, man, I just get chills even thinking about some of this stuff that we're about to talk about. But let's start off top with the Jimmy Butler trade. Shams Charania is doing his best Kobe impersonation right now, hitting every single shot from deep, from the baseline, hitting all his free throws. He's coming through in the clutch. Shams Charania is reporting that Jimmy Butler was traded to the Golden State Warriors for Andrew Wiggins. Help me out, Chris. A first round pick, which is
Yes.
top 10 protected, which will convey to next year if needed, as well as a third player. Help me out,
You want me to
Chris.
you want me to tap in here? All you have to do is say, Chris, tap in.
Go ahead, tap in, Chris. Go ahead.
Okay.
Give me the trade.
So Jimmy Buckets trades in Biscayne Bay for the Bay. You like what I did there?
A little bit.
And in the process signs a 2-year, $121 million extension, which, by the way, as of 24 hours ago, we thought this trade idea was dead, Chaz. Why? Because the report was Butler would not sign an extension with the Dubs, which led everyone to believe it was going to be Phoenix. Now, here was the problem. Phoenix could not move off of Bradley Beal's enormous, useless contract. Why? Because he has a no-trade clause. And with his inability to waive it, Phoenix basically had to kind of step out of the Jimmy Butler sweepstakes. So Golden State goes right back to the drawing board, knowing that Pat Riley, Miami's prospects are limited at this point to trade Jimmy Butler. So what does he do? He trades Andrew Wiggins, Dennis Schroeder, who traded for the second time in a month or 2 months, I should say, and slow-mo, Kyle Anderson, and a protected first-round pick to Miami to get Jimmy Butler. Now, there's other aspects to it. Schroeder and slow-mo are not going to Miami. They are going to – Schroeder is going to Utah, so he's traded for the 4th time in the past month.
Crazy.
And slow-mo is headed north of the border to the Toronto Raptors. Josh Richardson and Lindy Waters III, 2 players on Miami and Golden State respectively, are headed to Detroit to make the salaries work. And the biggest loser out of this, and also PJ Tucker, who was recently traded to the Utah Jazz, is also going to Miami. It'll be a second stint there. Remember, he was there.
Damn, it's like this trade just keeps going, man.
Exactly. Yeah, that was the other part.
It took so long.
I was missing a part of it. So Jimmy Buckets goes to Golden State to team up with Steph Curry as well as Draymond Green. So Golden State is trying to keep this, whatever window is left open for this era of the Splash Brothers or the, Dub Nation and everything. They're trying to keep that window open, and they're hoping Butler can do it. But the thing that I just realized, Golden State did not have to trade Podziemski, Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga or Trace Jackson Davis. They were able to get an all-star in Jimmy Butler and get him to sign an extension without trading any of their young core pieces. That is the underlying issue in this deal. And I think the other biggest loser outside of Pat Riley of this, and I know you'll talk about that in a sec, is the Phoenix Suns, because they made a trade to get first-round picks so they could land Jimmy Butler and put him alongside Kevin Durant and Devin Booker.
They
So
sure did.
to Mike Dunleavy Jr., job well done, at least for now. I don't know if it's going to mean a championship, but I think the playoff prospects are looking better now for the Golden State Warriors. And Miami, I don't know what the heck they're doing. Wiggins is a nice player. PJ Tucker will bring some defense, but they did not get a very good deal outside of the first-round pick, and we'll see what comes out of that. You're
I
on,
mean,
bro.
I think they got everything that they could have gotten, all things considered, for the Jimmy Butler saga. Like if this was really, if it came to, I mean, you got Wiggins. Wiggins and a first round pick that's top 10 protected is actually pretty good. I know Shorter's not going to end up going there. I know Slow-Mo's not going to end up going there, but like the fact that you got Wiggins alone and first round pick compensation for somebody that you were probably going to lose regardless after the end of next year, like you had to trade him. And the Miami Heat are terrible right now. How do I know? Because I keep losing money on them night in and night out. They just they just cannot hold their own water for the life of them. So the Miami Heat needed to get Jimmy Butler out of there, and luckily they did. And they got somebody who's going to be good, which is Andrew Wiggins back. I think the most interesting part in this is the fact that he was willing to sign the extension and that he got his money, because it was looking real bad for Jimmy Butler for quite some time. And the fact that he
60.5 million. So, the other caveat, I just want to
over
point
two
this out.
years,
He opts
over two
out of
years.
he opts right over 2 years, but he opts out of next year's deal. So this contract takes effect next season, not in 26. So it's going to take effect next year, and then it goes through 26, 27. So yeah, 2 years. I just wanted to point that out because he did have an option
Yeah.
at the end of this season. Okay, go ahead.
And the fact that he got his money, the fact that he's playing with Steph, I know he probably didn't want to be there, but ultimately he probably looked around and was like, damn, where else am I going to get $120 million over 2 years? They're trying to trade me here. I got to do what I got to do. So I like the fact that he manned up, so to speak, and you get to play with with the greatest shooter that God has ever created, pretty much. So I don't know. Again, I don't know if it means championship, but I do know that it's going to do wonders for a player like Kaminga. It's going to do wonders for Moody. It's going to do wonders for Steph to have the motor, and it's going to do great wonders for Draymond Green. The fact that he has somebody else in a dog like Jimmy Butler to be able to come on. So we'll get into a lot more of the details of these trades, but we got to bring on a special guest to the show tonight, Chris, a buddy of yours, somebody that um, is now a friend of the show, Kevin Klein of the Incline Dodgers podcast. Welcome on the show, my man. Good to
Thank
see
you.
you. Good to have you on.
Appreciate it. It's been one
Hey.
heck of a week. What's up,
Hasn't
Chris?
it?
What's up, Kev? Thanks for joining, man.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here. Excited.
Yeah, and for
Absolutely.
once you're in the
Chris, go
third
ahead. Take
chair.
it on.
You're not driving this bus for a change. You're riding in the back seat, and you're going to enjoy yourself a little bit. So yeah, Kevin and I, we've been talking for years. He's been kind enough to have me on his show numerous times talking Dodgers. We go back and forth. We don't always see eye to eye, but when we do, it's like a lunar eclipse. It is tremendous. So he's got good takes. He's got good opinions. I'm glad he's on here. We're going to be talking. We're going to be stretching out his knowledge. You guys know we could talk baseball. Now you're going to hear what he has to say on the hoops level, on the gridiron when we get into Super Bowl. And yes, Kev, we will also throw one in your wheelhouse. We're going to throw one 96 over the inside part of the plate with some Dodger talk later on. So let's get down to it. So as many of us had heard about the Jimmy Butler trade going to the Golden State Warriors. Let's just start off with that. What was your take on this wild 5-team deal, but with the Warriors getting clearly the best player in this deal and getting him to sign an extension upon arrival, a la Tyler Glasnow to the Dodgers last year?
Yeah, so the first word I think about is desperation. Jimmy Butler is a phenomenal player. He's a star, but where the Warriors currently sit, I don't think adding Jimmy Butler puts the Warriors even in the breath of contenders still. Obviously,
Mm.
Steph Curry is a sensational generational player, but Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, they're both up there in age, 35, 36, I think. They just don't have the defense, the big man presence to me to make a move, a real threat in the West, even to get out of the first round, best case scenario. So desperation move. I respect them for trying to give Curry one more shot, but the Warriors that we come to think about when they won that last championship, I think in 21, it's not happening again. This era is dead.
Yeah, yeah. I think he's got a point there, Chris, because they're reaching. They're reaching. And I read an article by Kevin O'Connell of The Ringer, and he wrote this article about almost a month ago now. Well, closer to like 2, 3 weeks. And he was
Yeah.
talking about how Danny Ainge made the hard decision of blowing it up right before it got worse for the Celtics back in 2013 by trading for all those picks. He suggested that Joe Lacob do the exact same thing with the Warriors by trading Draymond and Steph. Now, I don't know about Steph, but everybody else, he probably still could have gotten some good value for. Now you go the opposite way and bring in a guy and paying him. In my opinion, Jimmy Butler's not worth $60 million a year. He's just not. He doesn't do enough in the regular season to warrant that amount of money. So I think you got it spot on, Kev. I just don't think it's going to put them over the top, but they still have the summer and they do drop below that second apron and does allow themselves a little bit more flexibility. So, yeah. What do you
Yeah.
think, Chris?
And yeah, no, I think you guys both bring up good points. Look, is this the end all be all of moves? No. But at the same point in time, what were your options to stand pat? And that's what I always ask these teams. You sometimes have to make a move like this. And, we're going to get into the Lakers in a bit. And I know there were some people upset initially at the move to get Luka Doncic. But the thing about it was we knew that this Laker team currently constructed, even if they would have addressed their front court, they were probably not going to get past the second round, maybe the conference finals. Same thing with Golden State. We had to make this move, especially when we're not mortgaging the farm to get Jimmy Butler. We're not giving up Kuminga, Moody, Trace Jackson Davis, or Brandon Pajemski. So we're still building for the future. We still get a piece that helps us in the now. So why not? What are we losing here? What are we talking about? Because we're on the outside looking in. And if we want to put together a run similar to what the Lakers did in 23 as a play-in team, then this is a move that's necessary to make. So shout out to Mike Dunleavy Jr. Showed some cojones, but also Pat Riley was clearly trying to just unload Jimmy Butler and was willing to take pennies on the dollar with it because they did not get any of those young pieces. So from that perspective, Miami may have come up short, but maybe it's addition by subtraction is the way Riley and Alonzo Mourning and Mickey Arison and, of course, Eric Spoelstra see it.
Kevin, what do you think about the fact that the Warriors pivoted from Butler? I'm sorry, from Kevin Durant reportedly. Kevin Durant says that I don't want to go there for whatever reason, and then they pivot to Butler. What do you think about them, number one, making that pivot, and what do you think that speaks to the organization that pretty much two guys didn't want to sign an extension or go to Golden State, but you forced the hand of one and got one of the guys that you wanted?
So first off, just to go back to your point about the Celtics, that was a really good, good throwback. You mentioned like spot on with Danny Ainge's thinking. I think that's a really awesome point you brought up. In terms of
Thanks.
Kevin Durant, he didn't want to go back to Golden State. Two reasons. Well, the big reason, Draymond Green, they had a huge falling out, which I think ultimately led to Kevin Durant leaving Golden State. And second of all, no fault on him. I think Steve Kerr is just too hard-nosed of a coach where Kevin Durant just has his differences with him. I'm not going to make this a show about bashing Kevin Durant, but it's no surprise that coaches continue to get fired year after year with Kevin Durant being the star player on the roster. They've already got they're on coach number 3 in Phoenix. Durant clearly likes to pick and choose his coaches and boss them around. That's why he got Atkinson out of Brooklyn and got the puppet of Steve Nash, unfortunately. I think Kevin Durant if he were to get traded, which obviously the Suns don't look like they're a threat at all at this point anymore, Kevin Durant's going to want to go to a team that's in a better situation than the Phoenix Suns. And I don't know if they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to do it. But if there was one team that I could see pulling off a trade for Kevin Durant, it'd be the Houston Rockets if they decide they want to go all in. But recent reports seem like the Rockets want to build on what they have. In terms of the Warriors, like I said in the first segment, desperation, they were reaching out to numerous star players. And I think the reality is Golden State is just not a sexy destination to sign anymore. And we'll talk about the teams that do have a sexier destination in a few minutes. But yeah, the Warriors are kind of a thing of the past, and that's why they had to get Butler. He forced his way out of Miami.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was not the only trade made today. There was another one on a smaller level, but still kind of big. The Milwaukee Bucks made a deal with the Washington Wizards, who announced their annual garage sale. So everything was on clearance, 60% off, or you can get a free used love seat as well. So just kind of keep that in mind. Chris Middleton, 3-time All-Star, NBA champion with the Bucks, along with AJ Johnson, were sent to the Washington Wizards for another former champion, Kyle Kuzma, and Patrick Baldwin Jr., as well as a pick. There was also a third team brought in. So the Bucks also get Jericho Sims from the New York Knicks. DeLon Wright goes back to the Knicks in the process. What are your guys' thoughts on this deal as the Chris Middleton era with the Bucks and that era of 2021 is almost pretty much dissipated, and now they're hoping Kuz could kind of provide some of that perimeter scoring, Chaz, you talked about last week, that Milwaukee desperately needs. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Who won that deal?
Nobody won that deal. I'll tell you why. Today's trade of Chris Middleton is going to signal the end of what you knew as Milwaukee Bucks basketball. I think Giannis Antetokounmpo is on his way out, maybe as early as next season, because this Bucks team, they've been aggressive, but every move they've made recently just doesn't seem to pan out. They fire Griffin, bring in Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers hasn't made them better. They added Damian Lillard, hasn't really made them much better. Now you move Chris Middleton, who was really tight friends with Giannis, for Kyle Kuzma, who's having a down year across the board. You're going to tell me Kyle Kuzma with his 28 3-point shooting percentage is going to put the Milwaukee Bucks over the top? And for the Wizards, Chris Middleton, way past his prime now. The team is clearly just trying to tank here. They probably wanted the draft picks. The Wizards are a complete mess as well.
They are. But here's the thing. I also think that Kuz was having a bad year because he's on a bad team. So they got another win tonight against Brooklyn dramatically. But obviously, Kuz just isn't playing up to his standards. And I think he's going to do better in a better situation. But that era of the Bucks is over, and their window is closing slowly but surely. And this is just another move or step towards that last gasp. And that's, again, the same thing with the Warriors, but they open it up just a little bit more by having a player like Butler. But a team that has absolutely extended their window is the Los Angeles Lakers. And this is the trade that it comes back to every single time, because the fact that they were able to pull this off secretly, the fact they worked on it for almost a month, Nico Harrison and Rob Pelinka, that is. Kevin, what do you make of the trade, and how is it going to impact not only the Los Angeles Lakers, but the rest of the league as a result of the Mavericks kicking Luka on the way out and what seems to possibly be igniting a fire in a top 10 player in the league, or top 3, really?
So on Saturday night when the trade broke, not only did it wake up a sleeping giant in myself, but I think it woke up the Lakers franchise. And we saw that performance just last night against the Clippers, where they had their number and were all over them. If people aren't familiar with Luka Doncic's game, they just acquired a generational talent. Maybe not Magic Johnson good, but the next big thing. And I see some people, comparing him to LeBron James. And I mean, kind of in a way, he's like LeBron, but obviously nowhere near as talented as LeBron James. But Luka Doncic not only sets the Lakers up for now, I think he already makes them a better team. And we're going to find that out hopefully as soon as Saturday if he suits up for the Lakers. He's better than Anthony
He
Davis.
better. I'm going
just
to that game.
offensively.
I'm going to that game, Kev.
Nice.
Sorry to interrupt, but
Me too, Chris. I'll see you there.
Yes. Yes,
That's
sir.
epic.
Shout out to my girl Carla. That was a Christmas gift, and now it might be Luka's debut. Let's freaking
Beautiful.
go.
But yeah,
Continue,
my
Kev.
last point,
bad.
my last point to make it quick on Luka, and then maybe I'll add some color commentary after you guys go. The Lakers were in a weird spot where you could see the window was kind of closing in on them. You had LeBron, who maybe has one more good year left. I know we keep saying that every year, but it's at some point LeBron's got to hang it up. And then Anthony Davis, who's 31, and who knows how many more prime years left you have of Anthony Davis. And when LeBron decides to leave or retire, is Anthony Davis going to be the draw that can attract the next superstar to the Lakers? I kind of have a hard time seeing that. Now you get Luka Doncic in that window of the Lakers, which is maybe 2 or 3 good years left. Now we're extending it out to 10 years. And I've already got some guys in my head who I think could pair up with Luka. I'm not going to go there yet. But we've got a long window now of pairing that next or 2 superstars with Luka Doncic. And I do think this puts Los Angeles back on the map. And you're going to see the Lakers load up on talent very, very soon.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah.
And Chaz, before I turn it over to you, I know you and I, we had our own podcast on this on Sunday. And one of the things that I pointed out was the fact that I thought this could help the Mavs more in the short term. And the analogy that I had, I couldn't, to quote Joe Pesci from The Irishman once again, I still can't help but think, I'm sorry, that when Shaq was traded to the Miami Heat in 2004, we all said that's going to help Miami in the short term, right? And it did. They won a championship in within 2 years. But what happened with the Lakers? They didn't get a massive haul back from Miami, but they had Lamar Odom, who helped them win 2 championships. But they used Caron Butler to get Kwame Brown, whose salary was then used to trade for Pau Gasol. So 2 years after Shaq won in Miami, the Lakers go on a run. And even though it was a little bit after the fact, Kobe and the Lakers, along with Pau Gasol, of course, won back-to-back titles and went to 3 straight finals. And I'm not saying that's going to happen in this particular case. However, I think the urgency for Dallas is this year, whereas the Lakers, like even Windhorst was saying, they get a little bit of a pass. So yes, we'd like to maximize this window with LeBron James still playing at a high level and maybe address the front court and maybe see if we could take down one, if not 2 of these 3 young teams in Denver or whoever. But at least, like Kev is saying, your window is now more extended because not only do you have a superstar, you have someone who's box office and someone who's also proven that they could win at a high level, even though they haven't won a championship. 2 of the last 3 years in the Western Conference Finals, it's been Luka. And last year's representing the West, it was Luka and the Mavs. So I just want to keep that perspective in sight.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go a different direction with it. I think really quick, any notion that Luka and LeBron weren't going to be able to figure it out or work together or anything like that. I'm glad that so many respected people dispelled that immediately, because of hearing Stephen A. Smith and Charles Barkley, the first thing Monday morning talking about it, or really Sunday morning, Michael Wilbon as well. That was just, it just didn't make any sense. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But I think it says more about the Mavericks and ownership than Luka. Kevin, follow me on this and let me know if you subscribe to this theory. But I think that this came from ownership. Ownership didn't want to pay Luka the $350 million over the 5 years. I think that they're more so in it for their casino family, so they want to get gambling legalized in Texas. They want some leverage. They need the Mavericks to be not as good because they can't get gambling through in Texas. They need some kind of leverage so they can say that, hey, we'll both to Vegas. Obviously, the reason why they didn't want to spend the $350 million on Luka. Do you think that that's a viable theory? That's something that I've been reading in recent days. Is there a little bit of truth to that, or do you think that they just didn't want to pay Luka and it has nothing to do with the gambling in Texas or having leverage with moving the team at all?
I think that theory is could be pretty legit, and I've heard some other people speculate the same thing. If Mark Cuban was still the true owner of the Dallas Mavericks, this trade would have never happened. Uh, I heard a great comparison kind of tied to the Dodgers. It's like when Fox took over the Dodgers and they traded Mike Piazza away out of nowhere because they didn't want to pay him. And I think that's exactly what's
97.
going on here with the Dallas Mavericks. They're trying to scapegoat him, call him fat, lazy, whatever. I think this is just them being cheap and they don't want to pony up and pay Luka Doncic, and they're costing him over $100 million by doing so. In terms of the short term with the Dallas Mavericks, I don't think this move makes them better. I think by trading the face of the franchise, they're about to plummet. They're about to completely free fall. And I think this is going to send such a shockwave across the locker room. Yeah, it's great you add Anthony Davis. I don't think they're going to recover from this. I think best case scenario, they're the 10th or the 9th seed and they get bounced in the play-in.
Here's the thing.
I subscribe to that.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I don't think anyone realized they were 11th. I mean, I think we all kind of thought they were somewhere in the 7-8 spot. I understand they haven't been, and they lost yesterday. By the way, shout out to Max Christie, 15 points, 9 rebounds, 4-4 shooting in his Mavs debut. That's pretty impressive, and I hope that kid continues to ascend, and he's going to be learning from one of the great two-way shooting guards to ever do it in Klay Thompson. So that was another difficult part if you're a Laker fan, is you saw Max Christie come into his own. I am not going to say, I think that is the worst case scenario, that they are on the verge of plummeting, but you also have a true 1-2 punch still. Remember, Laker fans were clamoring to get Kyrie Irving. Why? Because they thought it would be a devastating pick and roll with him and Anthony Davis. Now we have that on display under the guidance of Jason Kidd and a very good coaching staff in Dallas, that I think if they could catch lightning in a bottle, if nothing else, they could be a very tough out. And yeah, you're right. They could still get bounced in the play-in, not because of trading Luka, but because the West is that deep as well. So I just wanted to kind of point that out as well. I'm not saying either of you guys are wrong, but I just think they might be able to capture something a little quicker than the Lakers, in my opinion.
No, they can't, and no, they won't. They have 3 years. They better win it. They better win it this year or next year, because if you don't, by after next season, Klay is pretty much on his last leg by that point. Anthony Davis, as we know, he's one injury away from this or that, as everybody is, but he's a little bit more prone. And obviously, Kyrie just blows with the wind from season to season. Dramatically, we've gotten 2 great seasons out of Kyrie, but since before that, we couldn't get a string of 3 seasons together as well. So I don't like their window. I think the Lakers have more of a chance to actually do something because they're higher in the standings and they got the better player in the trade. But we'll see what happens. We got to move on really quick. One last trade to just discuss. De'Aaron Fox getting moved with Wemby to the San Antonio Spurs and Levine, and both of which of these guys are making their debut tonight for their respective teams. Levine playing right now as we speak in Sacramento, and the San Antonio Spurs won a nail biter in Atlanta with De'Aaron Fox making his debut. Kevin, what do you make of that trade? And do you think that De'Aaron Fox is that guy for Wemby moving forward?
Moving forward, long term, probably not. Next 2-3 years, most certainly. I think this trade immediately puts the San Antonio Spurs in the playoff conversation, probably a play-in team as well, but that's a pretty nasty 1-2 punch now. Wemby needed that number 2, a prolific point guard. You get that with Fox. So I like the move in the short term for the Spurs. Sacramento-wise, I don't really love the return of Zach LaVine. I think the Kings regress with this move. LaVine also kind of has a track record of being injured a lot. And now we're kind of looking at a Chicago Bulls team that didn't work. You got DeRozan and LaVine back up, suited up together. But I love Sabonis, but I'm just looking at the Kings right now. Not a true threat, and this could have cost them now a playoff spot.
Yeah, I think the Spurs clearly won this deal with Fox, because I think, like you said, Kev, this is an example of a guy that comes in, fulfills a need, And think about what the Spurs decided to give up. They didn't decide to mortgage the farm. They didn't trade Devin Vassell. They didn't trade Stephen Castle. Who they give up? Trey Jones and 3 first-round picks. To be honest, I also thought Sacramento, not a bad deal. You get an all-star caliber guard in Zach LaVine, and you get 3 first-rounders in the process. And I think they also got some second-rounders.
You got rid of Herter.
But Kevin, yeah, right. But you get an upgrade with LaVine. But I agree, they're going to need a point guard. So the question I have is, do they consider trading Malik Monk at this point or another piece in order to address the point guard situation? Because like you said, if you just keep the team as is, it's one ball and you have 3 or 4 ball dominant guys with Monk, with Sabonis, with LaVine, with DeRozan. So you're going to need to get a guard. So on paper and as far as fit right away, I think it is De'Aaron Fox with Wembanyama. And by the way, 24 points, 13 assists, and 5 rebounds in the win tonight for De'Aaron Fox. Not too shabby. And I think that pick and roll with Wemby is going to be devastating. And you still have the young pieces, guys, with Castle, with Vassell, with Keldon Johnson, with whoever. If you want to go add another piece to complement Wemby in the front court, you can go out and do that. And I think I would hope RC Buford is likely to do that, because otherwise they're just going to be a 7, maybe an 8 seed and not go much further than that, at least not this year.
Well, since trades are dominating the week, there is, like I said, not only a game to be played on Sunday, but a concert as well that I'm very much so looking forward to as well on Super Bowl Sunday. Super Bowl 59 is set. We've heard all the talk. We're getting late into the week. It's coming up. The game of the year. I'm excited, even though my Rams are not involved. We'll get into them a little bit. But in just a sec, Kev, can you just let us know how you think this game is going to go and what kind of ripple effect is it going to have on the league if the Eagles knock off the Chiefs or if the Chiefs are able to do the impossible in 3P?
Well, New Orleans gets a spectacle because they get the best current rapper to perform. Just going to throw that out there with Kendrick Lamar.
Yes.
What we're going to see here is a chance for history. And if anyone's going to do it, it's the greatest quarterback of all time. Yes, you heard me. The greatest quarterback of all time, Patrick Mahomes. I think the Eagles are a really solid, really good team. I picked them preseason to win the NFC, and Saquon Barkley blew me out of the water with that season he just had. Best running back clearly in the league and has been carrying that Eagles team all year long. Jalen Hurts, solid quarterback. I have some concerns about him making the big throw, though, if the situation calls for it. He doesn't seem to be the same passer like he was in previous years. And you've seen frustrations with A.J. Brown. He hasn't been shy about letting that know. But I mean, outside of Travis Kelce, what is Patrick Mahomes really working with? He's got a bunch of number 3s now. DeAndre Hopkins is playing hurt. You've got Juju Smith-Schuster, who's a big shell of himself. You got Hollywood Brown, who missed a lot of the year because he was injured. And then you've got the rookie Xavier Worthy, who's really blossomed over, especially in the second half of the season. Eagles, I mean, the Chiefs defense has definitely taken a step back this season. It's not as strong as they were the last 2 years, which kind of helped the Kansas City Chiefs win those back-to-back Super Bowls, but it's still a pretty solid defense overall. Secondary, not as good as it used to be. But Patrick Mahomes this Sunday is going to remind the world why we were witnessing the Michael Jordan version of an NFL quarterback. And people can hate all they want on the Chiefs. I tend to embrace it. You're watching greatness. Why root against greatness? That's what Patrick Mahomes is. Best quarterback I've ever seen play.
Bar none. He didn't miss a lick, Chris, but I'll go ahead and tee it up for you. Go ahead and there's nothing really to add because the guy is absolutely spot on and on point. But go ahead and try and refute some of that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Chiefs, I think the theme of their season has been finding a way to win. And on many games, we thought they probably should have lost the Denver game. And there was another game that, nearly got away from them. They ended up with a 15-2 record after losing their number 1 receiver in week 2 in a year where Pacheco went down, where Kelsey was not having his best stuff, where the defense got tagged midway through the season and was not playing well. And you kind of thought, like, is that hangover kind of caught up with them when you see teams like the Bills and the Ravens, continue to develop? And what we're seeing the Chiefs do is very similar to what we saw Brady and the Patriots do for so many years. Oh, it's not the year for the Patriots. And then watch. Boom. They play their football at the best, their best football at the end of the season. They get into the playoffs and they run ripshod over everybody and end up hoisting up that Lombardi trophy. So I hate to admit it. You are right. Mahomes and the Chiefs are a great modern day dynasty. And I think if they win on Sunday, that's going to cement it. However, I'm wondering if the Eagles, who have a history of coming up with an upset over another great dynasty, like I just mentioned, the Patriots, will have something up their sleeves. Because remember, as much as this is about two teams, this also is a chess match between the coaches. Andy Reid and Matt Nagy versus Vic Fangio. Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni versus Steve Spagnuolo. So you're going to have that element. And whoever is able to basically say, watch this, and give the other one something they're not ready for, that's going to be the team that's going to end up winning it. Similar to what we saw from Doug Peterson and the Frank, whatever his name is.
Nick Foles.
And that's
who's
Bowl.
Nick
So,
Foles?
Go ahead,
who is it most likely going to? Who's going to
Frank
be
Reich?
Like, who is going to likely be the person to do that? More than likely, let's just take a guess. Who's going to give somebody the other side something that they haven't seen before? Could it be Andy Reid, one of the greatest offensive minds of all time, or Vic Fangio, or Steve Spagnuolo, one of the greatest defensive minds of all time, dare I say? So whose side is more likely to do it? I gotta lay the point and a half with the Chiefs. I gotta take the money line. I gotta take the over. I gotta take the under Saquon 116 rushing yards. There are so many great bets in this game that you got to put down, but I cannot wait until Sunday. Kevin, before we move on to our last topic, do you have anything as far as on the Super Bowl that you might want to put a wager on or two?
I like the Barkley under. That certainly could be a nice prop.
116.
I haven't looked at the props yet, but Patrick Mahomes passing touchdowns. I think he'll throw 3 passing touchdowns. I think he'll go off in the game. So if it's 1.5, 2.5, whatever, give me the touchdowns. He's going to win Super Bowl MVP.
Wow.
And also, I think this will be a unique strategy because of what you just said, Kev. I think Kellen Moore and Sirianni, they've got to open up the pass game early, establish that early to open things up for Saquon Barkley instead of the other way around, because I think the Chiefs are going to be expecting that. So get Smith and Brown and Goddard going early, and then maybe it'll open up some more lanes for Saquon Barkley to do his thing. So,
Kevin, I've always argued that the greatest offseason of all time when it comes to baseball was the year that Alex Rodriguez decided, instead of signing with the Red Sox, somehow, some way, making his way to the Yankees. And I just have one question and one question only. Are the Dodgers having the best offseason of all time right now, even usurping the one where they got Alex Rodriguez to New York?
Well, the Dodgers are having the second best offseason of all time, because the best offseason of all time happened just a year ago when they landed arguably the greatest baseball player of all time in the one, the only Shohei Ohtani. And they also signed Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who was the most sought out, I guess, free agent pitcher in all of baseball that offseason. And they were able to pair up those two. Not only that, they signed Chris's boy, Teoscar Hernandez. And we know how big of a force he was for the Dodgers throughout the 2024 season. All-star, home run derby champion, big hits in the postseason, and was a no-brainer for the Dodgers to re-sign this most current offseason. But no, this is definitely the second best. And for a reigning champion, no doubt about it, the best offseason ever if we're talking about a reigning champion trying to repeat. I mean, Blake Snell, Roki Sasaki, bringing back Teoscar, Kirby Yates, Tanner Scott, Michael Conforto,
Hassan Kim from Korea.
Yep. Add Kim in there as well. This is going to be a spectacle that we're going to witness for the Dodgers in 2025. And I can't wait.
Absolutely. And Kev, I guess on the flip side of it, what are any question marks? And we got some breaking news in a sec, but I wanted to get this question in as we continue this flurry of NBA trades that one just hit. If you guys just got the notifications, one of the concerns I have is what the back end of the rotation is going to look like early on in the year. And I know the Dodgers have, Tony Gonsolin, Dustin May coming back healthy. You're also going to have Bobby Miller trying to reestablish himself, but there's still going to be some question marks with Sasaki if he's going to start in AAA. Ohtani's not going to come back till May. Kind of shed some light on what the 4 and 5 starters are going to look like coming into the regular season and how important spring training is to decide that.
Sasaki will definitely start at the big league level. You can lock that in. He didn't come to the Dodgers to be pitching in Oklahoma City. Back end wise of the rotation, it's probably the best back end rotation in all of Major League Baseball. You mentioned all the names I like. Tony Gonsolin was an all-star at one point. He should be a solid number 5 for them. I will be watching Bobby Miller very closely this spring training. I still think a then top prospect for the Dodgers still has plenty of life in him, meat on the bone. I think with Blake Snell being his mentor now, I think he's going to get his act together. What I would say as Dodger fans and baseball fans, I think the strategy here early on, you're going to see these Dodger starters, more so the back end guys, go 4-5 innings in a game. Then they're going to hand the baton over to the Dodgers bullpen and let them go 4-5, whatever amount of innings, and just let this bullpen carry. And I think that's going to be a pretty common theme that you're going to see throughout the season for the Dodgers. And so I think as a starter, the mentality that, oh, I only have to go 5 innings, maybe I throw 80, 90 pitches. I think that'll be easier for these guys in the back of their mind, knowing kind of how to prepare themselves for these games.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that all rings true, especially when you get into those dog days of the summer later on in the season as well. But of all those moves that the Dodgers have made that you mentioned, Kevin, what do you think, which one is going to impact the team the most or the fastest, I should say?
Fastest will definitely be Blake Snell. You're signing a 2-time former Cy Young Award winner. You automatically can pencil him in as the number 1 or number 2 with Yamamoto. Early on, those will be your co-aces. And I know Snell's hungry. He wants to win. Guy has been pretty good in October as well. A strikeout machine. So Blake Snell's going to have the biggest impact. And another guy they haven't officially added yet, but I expect him to be signed any day now when roster spots open up. Klay Kershaw will be a number 5, a number 6 for the Dodgers. And yes, we're saying that in the year 2025. But you have Klay Kershaw at the very back end of your rotation as well to eat some innings.
Yeah, and I think and I just want to point this out about adding all these new pieces and signing these guys, or it also, you want to get guys who are hungry. And I think that's the thing is there's going to be a lot of full stomachs in that clubhouse coming off the championship from last year, and some guys who might have some residual effects from pitching so many innings. I'm talking about the relievers now in the regular season as well as the playoffs. So when you're able to get a Tanner Scott and a Kirby Yates, Kev, you're able to lean on those guys and maybe ease the workload off of a Blake Trinan and Alex Vesia, Evan Phillips, Kopech, and whatnot. We've already heard some murmurs that Kopech was dealing with some elbow issues, but he's supposedly fine now. So I think when you add these guys, not only are you getting the hunger aspect, but you're also going to get guys who are like, they won this without me. Now I've got to be a difference maker. So that's going to be a motivating factor as well. And I think that's always important for a championship team to get some new blood in there, get some hungry dudes in there to counteract some of the full stomachs that might be coming into spring training.
No doubt.
Kevin, here's one that I got for you because I can't seem to wrap my mind around it. But what do you expect specifically from Shohei on the mound this upcoming season?
That's a great question. And it's hard to really speculate because this is his second elbow surgery. It's not a Tommy John surgery. The type of procedure is different. I guess it's more, they put a brace in his elbow or something like that. So wasn't a full Tommy John reconstruction surgery. Anyways, regardless, to answer the question, I think best case scenario, he returns at some point in May. I think they're going to limit his innings, be smart. He'll go 100, maybe 120 innings, best case scenario. And I think it's going to kind of be like a Walker Buehler story that we just saw this most recent year. Hopefully it's not that rocky and that bad where he's got an ERA in the 5s, but I think the Dodgers really are going to slow and ease him in, because this isn't just a play for this season. They've got Shohei Ohtani for 9 years, and they want to try to get as much longevity out of that pitching elbow as much as they can, because they've invested a lot of money. And you can talk about the deferrals, but at the end of the day, they have to pay him that $700 million at some point. So 100, 120 innings, and ideally you get him stretched out kind of near the postseason, and then you let him rip and ride in October.
Yeah, I think that's a smart play. Yeah, no, that's definitely the smart play. By the way, breaking news: Brandon Ingram to the Toronto Raptors for Kelly Olynyk, for Bruce Brown. I just wanted to throw that in there, and a first round pick, and I think one other piece as well. So yeah, BI is heading north of the border. Guys, any thoughts on that real quick?
They're just sending BI up north to die. Like, I don't see his career going absolutely any way that he had planned. So, but
wow,
hey, you get Bruce Brown.
And Pelicans really got nothing in return. I mean, Bruce Brown, okay, expiring contract. Kelly Olynyk, well-traveled, and he's got to be upset because he's Canadian, and now he leaves his hometown in Toronto, and they get a 1 first-round pick and 1 second-rounder for an all-star caliber forward in Brandon Ingram. Wow, Masai Ujiri fleecing David Griffin. And Griff, you got some splaining to do, my friend. My goodness, you have done a whole lot of nothing.
This makes Pelinka look that much greater, because that's a guy that he used to get AD. We then got used to flip into Luka. Oh my God!
Where's the Steph Curry meme when you guys got this going? Go ahead, Kev. Sorry.
I was gonna say this Raptors trade kind of has me intrigued a little, because like, let's hypothetically say their roster is fully healthy. Like, what is a floor of Ingram, Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickly, and RJ Barrett look like? That seems like they would be able to put up points with ease, but I guess there may be some questions defensively and chemistry wise, but on paper that looks like a pretty solid squad in the East. Not title contender, but it looks like they could do a little damage.
And I think this is also a salary dump for the Pelicans too, because they're trying to get below that second apron as well. And I think Ingram, that's why they got those expiring contracts. But still, it's like, man, you guys couldn't get something else out of this either? My goodness. Yeah. Go ahead, Chaz.
I'll get you out of here. I'll get you out of here on this one, Kevin. Thank you, number one, for being so gracious with your time. You've been great. But I everything always leads back to this Luka Doncic trade. What do you expect from him specifically over the course of these next 30 games to close the season and going into the offseason, where he very likely might not sign an extension with the Lakers? I have a feeling he may want to test free agency, but what do you expect from him?
First thing I need to know, though, is how many minutes he's playing. But assuming he has no minutes restriction, the rest of the season, I'm going to say Luka Doncic averages a triple-double. Triple-double with the Lakers. 30, 10, 10. I think he goes off. I think the Lakers and JJ Redick unlock something with him offensively, and he's going to carry this team hopefully far in the playoffs. They're going to need a center, and I know we still got tomorrow. Hopefully the Lakers get that center. But I think what we're about to see is hopefully a run like none other. And I wouldn't be shocked if Luka carries the Lakers into a finals. I don't know if they could win the finals, but I think the ceiling right now is finals contender. Wow. That's how high I am on Luka Doncic and LeBron James pairing up. They could easily score 70 points every game combined if you just let them cook. And you've got plenty of role players to help supplement that. I think the Lakers are going to lock him up. I don't think he'll ever actually test free agency. I think that'll be the immediate thing they get done this offseason. Lock him up, max extension. Won't even be something we have to sweat about. I think he's going to love Los Angeles. I think he's going to love the lights, and he'll love being a Laker.
Well said.
Man, I mean,
you got me fired up.
I was going to ask another question. I was going to ask another question, Kev, but then or throw another. I think we all are. Hey, how do you think I feel, man? I hope his ass is suited up. I want to see that yellow 77 jersey or whatever the hell they're wearing Saturday afternoon, the matinee against the Indiana Pacers. And we'll see what the Lakers end up doing. We still got another day before the deadline. They could use another piece or two in that front court. But anyways, all good stuff. Kevin Klein of the Incline Dodgers podcast. Kev, more than appreciative to have you on. I know we've been trying to get Kev on the last month, and then the nights we were going to have him on, the fires were going on. Chaz had to evacuate his house.
Man,
so here we
almost
are
lost this thing,
with
man.
rain. So that's
No, this was actually
Thank God you didn't. But
this was the perfect time to come on because we got to talk Luka Doncic, and I'm not some crazy homer. I wouldn't be saying these things if it was any other star player on the Lakers. I've been that high on Luka since he's entered the NBA. I think he can be the face of the league. There are some other talented players out there, but in his best nights, Luka can be the best player in the NBA.
He is
Sure.
arguably
Kev,
the best player in the NBA. So yeah, great point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Top 3, top 5, not just in the NBA, guys, in the world. Kev, thank you again so much for jumping on with us, with me and Chaz. This was so much fun. We got to get your co-host of the Incline Dodgers, Jake Reiner, on next time and make it a fearsome foursome with all of us on here. That would be awesome. But
Sure.
Tell our followers and our listeners how they can follow you and the show.
Yeah, like you guys mentioned, host a Dodgers podcast. We dive very deep, get hot at times, yell at each other if we're really fired up, talking Dodgers baseball. Chris has been on there in the double digits at this point many times. You can follow us wherever, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Just look up the Incline Dodgers. You can follow us on social media at the Incline Pod, or you can follow myself, Klein25, on social media. That's all I got.
There you go. Well, again, appreciate you coming on, and I'd like to have you on after 10 games or so. 10
Okay.
games into the month, next month at some point. I'd like to have you on again just to address an update on what we think, because by then the Lakers will either have or not have a big, and I think 10 games is enough to see which way Luka and LeBron will be trending. So we'll reach out to have you back on. But thanks again for coming on, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Chris,
Take care, Kev.
This has been a great show. Another great show. Thanks to Kevin for coming on, man. That was great.
For sure. And by the way, I want a shameless plug alert. They just had MLB insider and writer Bob Nightingale on their show. They have interviewed players. They have interviewed industry insiders in the MLB. So they are legit. That's not just some fanboy podcast. Those guys go in and they go hard and they do a great job. So I just wanted to throw another shout out to them on that. But go ahead, Chaz. Sorry.
No, yeah, man. I mean, that's it. I mean, we were cooking with some hot grease tonight. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the show. We even broke some news tonight because Shams Charania is still shooting lights out like Kobe at the buzzer, just reporting all these deals after deals. Brennan Ingram, I don't know what the hell is going to happen to his career in Toronto, but on paper, it does look like him, RJ Barrett, and the rest of the guys in Toronto, Scotty Barnes
yeah.
might be able to figure it out. And they've actually been playing some good ball as of late. How do I know? Because I cannot win a bet against them. I did win a bet against them on the Grizzlies, but man, they cover the spread like no other the last couple weeks. Thank you guys for tapping in with us on another great edition of the Outlet Forum. We'll get back with you guys next week. Trade deadline is tomorrow, so hey, if there's a big enough trade, you might be able to pull us out and see us for a third time this week. I don't know. We'll see, Chris. But again, appreciate you guys for tapping in with us. You guys know where to follow me at Chaez Pearson on Twitter. Follow the show at The Outlet Forum on Instagram and Twitter. Chris, where can I follow you, my man?
Could always follow me on Twitter /X at Chris_Camello. I'm on Instagram, CCamello1, and Chris Camello on Facebook. By the way, I wanted to get to Jasmine's question. Didn't they decide to grant refunds to Mavs season ticket holders if requested? The answer is sadly yes. So Mavs fans even brought a coffin outside of their home arena the day after the trade was announced. So Jazz make of that what you will. But there were some angry Mavs fans. I just
Damn,
wanted to point that out.
damn. Sucks to suck. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tapping in. Peace.